If we could, for one moment, all of those who are in attendance that played for Dad in baseball, would you mind standing up, whatever year that you may have? Would you please stand up? And a round of applause. Look at all the people that are here. It's amazing. And if Art Yannicki is still here, he'd still say he's the best guy that ever played. So that's one of those amazing things about Art. For the baseball guys that are here, one real quick story about Dad. Summer League used to be down in Manhattan, and with the Lewis teams. I was young, I was 11 or 12. He used to keep the book. And they were playing the Midlothian White Sox. Irish O'Reilly was actually pitching, and there was only 8 guys there to play. So Dad's 45, 46 years old. He has his bike coaching shorts on, the same black coaching shoes that he's worn for 47 years. Joan still has them. They're the same shoes. He's got a coach's shirt on, so he has to play. He's got to play right field. So his first at bat, he's up, and we have first and second, 2 outs, and they got a guy throwing just cheese. He's just about 90. So Dad fouls one off, fouls another one off, takes a couple, so it's 2-2 count, and he's in the box, and the next pitch comes, and he takes the most vicious cut I may have ever seen in a game of baseball. And he's sprinting down the line, screaming, "Get over his head! Get over his head!" Second baseman caught the ball in the infield. So he comes back to the dugout. And I was a little bit of a smart ass even back then. I said, "Yeah, you got all that one, huh, Dad?" He jogged back out to right field, and he didn't get a hit that game, but that was one of the, I can still remember that. He played the whole game. They lost, but that was one of the few losses that he had. Next speaker that we have is my brother Gordie, Goose. And one of the things that my dad also was, besides a great coach, he was a really horrible barber. As all the brothers can attest, Dad used to cut our hair. And that was Bob, myself. Bob was always first, I was second. Then there was Greg. Goose always got the worst haircut you could ever see because Dad was so pissed off, and all of us trying not to get our hair cut. We were the first family in the history of St. Paul's, because we all went to St. Paul's for that. At that time, we were allowed to wear baseball hats in school. I remember in the 8th grade, I finally got to go to a barber. You would have thought I won the lottery. Good God. But Goose is probably the luckiest of all the children because he had the opportunity to spend quality time with my dad late in his coaching career and really enjoy the great coaching moments that he had. Both my brother Bob and I were away, out of town, living in different parts of the country, and Gordie was very, very fortunate. And all the stories that he could tell are amazing. And I'd like to bring my brother Gordie up right now. Goose.
Thank you all for coming. I'm not very good at this, okay? So I'm going to try and be brief. First of all, Dad had a nickname for everybody, and he often called me Gooseberry. Okay, and I know that Joan can really attest to this statement, and it's sort of a theme that Margaret said, but I humbly must admit that Dad often referred to me as his favorite son. Okay, and he always said to me that I was the best basketball player and best athlete out of all the Gillespies, okay? He did say that Mike was second best. Jenny and Laura, aren't you proud of your dad? One of my favorite stories, I saw Paul Babcock stand up, but 1993, we go to it was always we. Okay, my dad and I, we won 2,400 games. But we go to the World Series in Des Moines, right? Paul Babcock is a senior outfielder, okay? He had 8 hits in 4 years, okay? So we get to the first game, and Dad decides he's going to start Paul in left field. And I'm thinking to myself, Coach Delgado, why in hell would Dad play Paul Babcock, okay? Well, all Paul did in the World Series, I think he had 12 hits. He made diving catches. He threw guys out at bases, okay? He could have been the MVP of the World Series, okay? So, I mean, only my dad would, I mean, it wasn't because he wanted to give Paul a chance. He truly knew that Paul was going to be amazing, and it was just typical Dad, right? I could talk for a half an hour about all my favorite players that played for Dad, but I thought if I mentioned one of them, there would be hundreds of others that I would leave out, okay? I noticed Ryan Quigley was here, dear friend, and he wrote an amazing article about my dad, and I would like to share some of that with you if I may. Ryan? He said, as a sophomore and junior backup quarterback at Joliet Catholic, I shadowed Gordie on the sideline throughout games. It was my first experience with witnessing Gordie magic, as I like to call it. He'd read a defense, suggest a play call to head coach Sharp, and we inevitably would score a touchdown on the subsequent play action pass or counter run. He never took a play off, and he had an innate ability to see what every single position on the field did on a particular play, whether that was in football or baseball. He could instantly make adjustments, putting his teams in the best possible position to have success, thus getting the most out of our talent. His mind was always sharp, and I'm convinced there will never be another coach, regardless of the sport, that has a better feel for in-game management, when to push the buttons to make a difference in critical moments. Perhaps it was because he had been there so many times, but I never saw Coach Gillespie change his demeanor in pressure situations. He stayed calm, making you calm, and he always found the right things to say to ease the tension during that 2-minute drill or that bases loaded bottom of the ninth situation. Make no mistake about it, Gordie won with talented players, but he attracted the type of talent and work ethic that made his teams great. He had an innate ability to see something in a player that others often fail to notice, and he made you believe as an individual and as a team that you were capable of far more than you can imagine. He cultivated that talent both on and off the field, and those who played for him became better men because of his leadership. He always had the ability to make you feel like you were the most important person in the world, the only one in the room that he was directly talking to you, and only you. Quiggs went on to say, Coach, one last time from the bottom of my heart, thank you, and we are all here because of you. Amazing, Quiggs. And finally, as great as coach as my dad was, he was 10 times a better father to all of us, and my memories of him will last me a lifetime. Thank you so much.